Welcome back. It's getting pretty exciting for Switch 2 owners. There are a lot of games now getting Switch 2 upgrades. I feel like every time I put my phone down for 5 minutes, another one gets announced. In the past few days alone, we've had Subnautica, Skyrim, Assassin's Creed, and today we just got an upgrade for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. The announcement was short and sweet, a 1-minute trailer letting us know that there is now 4K visuals with improved textures and up to 60 frames across the board. Now let's address the immediate elephant in the room. It is a paid upgrade. It's currently on the eShop for £4.19, I'm guessing $5 US. And I know it's not a lot of money, but I find it a little disappointing when you have just seen massive upgrades free of charge. There is an option to outright just buy the Switch 2 version for £54.99, and there's a physical release expected on April 16th this year, so there is that. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at the new Switch 2 upgrade for Xenoblade Chronicles X. First of all, this game looks beautiful, but in all honesty, it isn't quite to the level I was expecting. The fact it was even running on the Switch 1 was a miracle, but it obviously had its issues. The texture resolution was pretty rough, and the draw distance and asset pop-in were horrendous. And while this new update does touch on these slightly, making everything just pop a little more, it does at times feel a little lackluster. There isn't quite the generational jump I was expecting. There are elements of it that look fantastic, but in reality, these are also areas that look brilliant on the original hardware, and that's mainly the vistas. They are just stunning. The world design of this game is phenomenal, but one negative I did notice is the lack of HDR. Despite the Switch 2 supporting HDR at a system level, Monolith Soft did not add support for this, and that is a bit of a letdown. Mirror is a world defined by its lighting, from the glowing neon plants of Noctilium to the massive lightning storms of Silverlum. And while the Switch 2 does have auto HDR or vivid display settings that can fake it a little, there is no native high dynamic range implementation here. This means you aren't getting those deep blacks or those blindingly bright highlights that a true HDR patch would have provided. And I also think another area where I'm let down is that when I first played this through, it was on my OLED, and that could be why I had such fond memories of the visuals and colours there. But this lack of HDR support is a missed opportunity for a world that is so reliant on atmospheric lighting, and it really could have looked special. But I have a feeling that the engine this game was built on just can't support it. With that said, the pop-in and overall textures are clearly improved, and it does look great. But you will still find some textures that are just completely out of place, like the roots on the massive stalks and trees. Like here, it just looks completely out of whack. And in the main hub, there is still clearly some low-res backdrops that stream in once you get closer, but I really did expect this to be less apparent in the upgrade. You can see the Blade Barracks here just popping in and out of focus, and it looks pretty bad. On top of that, it does become apparent as you move around that the NPCs still heavily pop in and out of focus. It isn't completely game altering or experience ruining, but it is just a shame, and as I said, a missed opportunity. But moving on to the performance, and this is clearly an upgrade. They did state that the game runs at up to 60 frames per second, so we knew it wasn't locked, and it was likely there would be a few drops here and there, but on the whole, it's pretty damn consistent. In the city, it's near faultless. No matter what you do with the camera or how busy it gets, I think it dropped to 59 once, but it's as near to consistent as you can get. And in combat, it's a pretty similar story. I think I saw it drop once, but it really does feel and play amazingly responsive and smooth, even in the chaos. And the only real drops outside of there that I saw were very occasionally in the open world. A few times when I got a little busy on screen or a lot of textures were streaming in and the camera was flying about, it did drop a little. But this also only occurred 2 times in a couple of hours. But on the whole, the 60 frames per second is a huge addition and really does emphasize the combat and overworld. And bouncing back between Switch 1 and 2 version, it's quite the stark difference. And something else that also were the load times. Something that really irritated me about the original. And while expected, I was very pleased to see that these are massively reduced. From title screen to loading up a save, it took just shy of 11 seconds, which may still sound excessive, but you were looking at about 25 back on the Switch 1, and equally, the load times for fast travelling were about 6 seconds, regardless of where I travelled to or from. where I remember it on the Switch 1 version taking 15 to 20 seconds each time, so this is a little bonus. But I will re-emphasise my point that as good as it does look and feel, it's not quite the leap I was expecting. I'm not quite sure if the original wasn't as bad as I thought, or this upgrade is just a little underwhelming. Obviously it's very welcome and it opens up the possibility of the trilogy getting similar treatment, but I do wonder if the engine they were built on is maybe just a tad old, and it might just take a little too much to truly expand on them. Or maybe I was just naive and expecting a generational jump. It was a 2025 release after all, maybe they had just maxed the engine out. But hopefully we get some information soon on a Switch 2 exclusive Xenoblade 4. We can dream, hey? I do think the biggest upgrade by far are the character models. They're clean, with sharp edges and clearer details, and they really do pop in amongst the environment and busy scenes. But obviously that 60 FPS does enhance the experience. It's an obvious upgrade, and as much as I bemoan the charge, it is worth it. But I do wonder, why now all of a sudden? And why wouldn't they announce it beforehand? I always assumed they would announce it in preparation for the next entry, but Monolith doesn't seem quite ready to do that just yet, so it does raise questions. Anyhow, I'm rambling. A quick video for today, I just wanted to go over this. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you think about the upgrade, the physical release, the timing, and the lack of prior notice. And also, what game in the trilogy would you most like to have similar treatment for? I think if I had to choose myself, it would be the second game, but I wouldn't say no to a whole trilogy re-release. Thinking that may be a tad ambitious though. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as always, thanks for watching, stay cozy, and yeah, I'll see you around.